your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website, cash. That's cash. Enter it now.
FoxPHLGambler.com. Once again, FoxPHLGambler.com right now. Hey now, coming to you live. Oh, let that beat breathe, Jansen. I dig that. That's that generic bed right there. It sounds good. It's got some funk to it. Well, good afternoon. Up and running here. Of course, we talked some college basketball with Ryan Beef Coyle a little earlier in the program. Now you get a three-headed monster. John Jansen, Luke Arcaini, myself. Power Hour underway, boys, and we got a lot to discuss. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend, recovered, President's Day, and we got a lot going on right now in the sports world. Out of nowhere, we got a hockey game that has everybody's attention. Yes, there are some issues in the world of baseball that are intriguing. I love that on February 18th that don't have anything to do with the Phillies. And I stumbled across an article that puts things into proper perspective when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and how dominant they were. So let's get to it. First of all, Luke, I'll start with you on the right. How we doing, man? How's everything in your world today?
Doing great. Finally, over the Super Bowl parade weekend, how that all goes. But we're good. I was finally able to get a haircut now that the Eagles season's done. I was very superstitious throughout the season. I was ready to get it cut. They started winning, and I was like, can't cut it. So this was going on about almost 6 months of no haircut. So we were able to get the haircut. I'm ready for some more hockey. Very extremely into the Four Nations, like you said. Phillies are starting workouts. Bryce Harper's over the food poisoning from all of his creations he's making on TikTok. We got a load of things in the sports world right now.
All right, and then Jansen, I don't think you're really dabbling too much in USA versus Canada, but how's everything in your world?
Oh, what do you mean? We got fights. We're booing anthems. Like this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to hockey. This is fantastic stuff. I've tuned in. I did tune in yesterday only to see a Flyers goalie apparently just get burned in the first 4 minutes of, I think 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes of gameplay. So that was great. That was awesome. Who did Team USA just play last night or a couple nights ago?
That was who the hell did they play? It wasn't Finland because yesterday was Finland.
Sweden.
Sweden. There you go.
Yeah. And so Flyers goalie in for Sweden, getting the start. And I'm like, okay, that's good for Team USA. And then immediately a Team USA goal. So that's good.
Yeah, so just to catch everybody up, Canada, Sweden, and Finland all entered Monday with 2 points. Canada nabbed the championship game berth with the 5-3 win over Finland yesterday. Of course, the Team USA was already in, as we pointed out, with the points that they were able to secure. Still was a decent game to tune into. But out of nowhere, the Four Nations has our attention this evening. And, of course, the way things started, and I don't expect it to be the same here, as far as what took place the last time Canada and USA played, but it was minus 110 both ways. And I would imagine, a little movement, minus 112 towards Canada, minus 108. I think this is going to be a tough game for Team USA to win here. I really do. I'm not going to bet it. There's no way I would take Canada, but that's a really good roster, man. And I thought USA played above their head to win that game last time. Again, I'm not a hockey aficionado, so I'm sure people could come back at me and say, no, the roster is really good, and I'm not here to deny that, but Canada's roster is disgusting. So I think the fact that they ended up taking a little bit of a slap across the face last time out, losing that game on home ice, you're going to see a team that's a little bit more dedicated to the final score, maybe not dedicated to the shenanigans to start things, and of course the fights, all that. We'll see what happens. Though 5.5, I'd love to see some fireworks. I definitely would take the over on that, but you know how these things play out. I just don't know if we can pinpoint and make this game a playoff type game, defense, that sort of deal. I think it's going to be opened up, and I think we see some scoring here tonight, Luke.
Yeah. So I am excited. I will say this. They have been going through some. I know the U.S. has a few injuries. I know Austin Matthews, who's basically the star of the team. He's dealing with an upper body. I know they sent Quinn Hughes. I believe somebody said they have to have one more injured player for him to play. That would be a big addition if he was to go. But yeah, I need it to be Thursday because I am ready for the Four Nations final. It is I am ready to watch it.
All right. Well, again, like I said, it's definitely something that will be catching our attention from the standpoint of what to watch tonight, which is always a welcome thing. No NBA, good college hoops night, good college basketball night. A lot of really good games, including Villanova and UConn coming our way at 6 p.m. right here on the Gambler. 8.5 point spread. Huskies at home, 135.5. Jansen, will the Wildcats keep this one close in your mind tonight?
Coming off of a very tough game against Providence, they've been, they're an inconsistent team. So
that's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it. Tough game, yeah, sure.
Tough, but this isn't a team that's just like they end up losing to Providence and it all steamrolls. It's still a good team that has a lot of talent, or at least veteran talent. So I don't think they roll over in this one.
All right, 8.5 point spread as far as that is concerned. And again, like I said, a lot of good college hoops action coming your way. If you missed it, we will have it coming up in the 5 o'clock hour once again. The college basketball catch-up show where Ryan Beef Coyle shined in the world of trivia, being able to name 15 out of 17 head coaches and what teams they coach for in college basketball. I thought that was really impressive.
I don't even know if I can name you some of the big 5 school coaches.
I'm not even joking. If you name me those 17 schools, I don't think I could get one.
I put some layups. I put some layups out there, but it was the way he was just answering them. Like, I'll tell you straight up, I don't know who NC State's head coach was. He knew it.
Is it still the guy from UNC Wilmington, Keats?
Yes.
Okay, it is. Okay.
There you go. He didn't know East Carolina's head coach.
I know that one, but yeah, it's a deep cut.
He did know where he came from, though.
Tennessee.
Yeah, there you go.
Michael Schwartz. Is that the right
Michael
one?
Schwartz. That is correct. There you go.
That was
all right
for my brain.
Nice. Well, yeah, Beef was on point. So we're gonna have some fun with that. Be testing his knowledge as far as college hoops is concerned because he is a college basketball sicko. All right, I do want to get into this before we dive into some of the numbers and some of the spreads that are out there. And first and foremost, the numbers are in. This was the most watched Super Bowl in NFL history. I don't think that's all that surprising with the way things are changing, shifting daily, weekly, monthly, yearly in our digital landscape, if I could put it like that. And the numbers, I think it was 182 million.8. And last year's was 182 million, 0.2. So it wasn't that much, but at least over 182 million people tuned in for at least a minute for Super Bowl 59, which is just insane to imagine how many people watched that game. And of course, they watched a beatdown. Yes, we know very well here, and we're going to continue to celebrate all things Eagles for a long dang time. Shout out to Gerald Colton and company putting a bow on the season last night with the All-Pro Philly show live from Chickies and Pete's in Marlton with the great Mike Quick, Dave Spadaro. Nice work across the board all season by John Jansen, Nick McClay, everybody making that show happen, Matt Schultz, and of course our great friends over there at Chickies and Pete's, specifically in the Marlton location. Thank you to everyone and Gerald Colton for doing a awesome job just booking that show week in, week out, getting great players with Dave Spadaro. Can't thank those guys enough for making that happen for our station. With that being said, I stumbled across a great article, CBSSports.com, where a gentleman wants to make the case that the Eagles are the greatest Super Bowl champion since the year 2000. In the year 2000. That's some Conan right there. I don't even think you'd get that one, Luke, but that's all right.
I don't even know if I get that one.
That's a throwback. That's a deep cut for Conan O'Brien. That's the year 2000. You have to look it up. Anyways,
okay.
He goes on to make the case It's hard to match the 2024 Eagles resume. Their 18 wins are tied for the most in NFL history and most by any Super Bowl champion this century. Eagles capped off their historic season with a decisive win over a team that was on the precipice of history. No other Super Bowl winning team this century had a top 10 quarterback, 2 top 20 receivers, a 2,000-yard rusher, a big, powerful offensive line, and a second-ranked scoring defense that wreaked havoc on quarterbacks without having to blitz. That's why they're number one. Now, obviously, you'd have to go down and look at the other names on there, but 2,000 is a nice number to roll out there. Of course, it's 24 years, so on and so forth, but you get the Chiefs Super Bowl championships in there. You get all those Patriot teams. You get the 2013 Seahawks Legion of Boom. You get Peyton Manning's Colts and Broncos. You get Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. You get the 2017 Eagles. Come on, man. You get the 2002 Bucks in there. So with that being said, does anybody want to disagree? Is there a team that you think couldn't give the Eagles a run for their money? The 2000 Ravens were ranked 24th. I would argue that one. I think that's a little low for that unbelievable defense. But you guys, thumbs up. This is the greatest Super Bowl winning team we have seen in the last 25 years.
Yes. Super Bowl winning. Yes. It is the most complete Super Bowl winning team I've seen in my lifetime. They had the defense to match. Not like it was a defense to match like some of the great defenses, like the Baltimore Ravens defenses. It matches all of that. But on the other side, there's not many times you can match a number one defense like Seattle could with a great offense like the Eagles had. They had the best running back in the league. They had the best offensive line in the league. They had 2 of the best wide receivers, probably the best wide receiver duo in the league. Really good tight end to go with it. And as you just said, a top 10 quarterback to boot for all of it. It's probably not the best team of the year. It's still the 2007 Patriots is the best team I've ever seen in my entire life in any sport. And I can't believe they lost that Super Bowl still. But that is in terms of Super Bowl winning teams. Yeah, I do think this is maybe one of the most complete teams I have ever seen win a Super Bowl.
I will say this. I do want to see that 2013-14 Seahawks team against this Eagles team. That defense was good. But yeah, no, I think I completely agree. This was one of the most dominant football teams that I've ever watched, even in a season where they started 2-2 and everybody wanted to fire the coach. They won 15 out of their next 16 games, and it was 40-6 at one point. I know we talked about this the day after the Super Bowl. When I think of the final score of this Eagles Super Bowl, I don't think of 40-22. I think of 40-6. They were up 5 scores on Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid in the Super Bowl in a game that they were underdogs in a game that everyone all week said, yeah, this sort of Eagles team had an awesome season, but they're not going to beat Mahomes. I mean, this is one of the best football teams I've ever watched, just top to bottom, from the quarterback to the running back to the receivers, the line, the defense, the coaching, just everything about it. It's just absolutely incredible. And I do want to say, I think if you put this Eagles team up against the 2017 Eagles, I think this team wins by 20. And that's not a hit on the 2017-18 Eagles at all. I just think this team was way better. I think that team in that year was awesome. I think when they got to the playoffs, they caught a little bit of sort of lightning in a bottle. I think if you put this roster up against that roster, I think we win by at least 2 scores.
Jansen?
Probably. I mean, that team was very good. I don't want to go away from that team. Was really good before the Carson Wentz injury. And they had to kind of figure it out all over again, but there's a reason why they figured it out with a backup. And Nick Foles, all the credit. I mean, but Nick Foles wasn't a good quarterback. It's why it's the greatest underdog story. One of those amazing stories in all of sports that I've ever seen. Nick Foles winning a Super Bowl MVP, the way he did and the way he played against the greatest quarterback of all time, one of, at least, in Tom Brady. So it's a great story, but that team was very good. I just don't think defensively they had that. That's the great equalizer here in everything. And that defense was so good. It's one of the best defenses and one of the best defensive performances we've seen it probably is just as good as like those the Ravens defense all the way back when they beat the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. That they were nasty, they were mean, they could cover you. Like it's one of the greatest modern defenses I've seen in the NFL. And again, you're pairing that with a top 10 offense, top 7 offense in the NFL. That doesn't happen very often. It's why I like the Eagles a lot. I thought they had a championship defense. And I don't think that the 2017-18 Eagles had that. They were good defensively, but they weren't. It really was just Jim Schwartz and their blitzing kind of schemes figuring things out and kind of winning every so possessions for them.
It also seems like that mentality that they had too. Like every single video that I watched from this team, that awesome video that the Eagles released a few days ago from the mic.
Which one?
That the mic'd up with the speeches and the videos before and the interviews with the guys after. Every video that I've seen when they asked them about like the days leading up to the Super Bowl, every single player on this Eagles team said we knew we were going to win. Like Saquon Barkley literally said into a microphone, I knew that we were going to win that football game. It's like they never thought from the second that they won the NFC Championship game that they were going to lose the Super Bowl. No. And I think that played a huge factor in the game.
Yeah, and look, I'm sure a lot of teams get up there and have great leaders that say a lot of the same stuff, but there was definitely something different. And it starts and ends with just how talented this team was, right? And they showed you, and they go out there like you go out there in a championship game and set the record for the most points scored. And that wasn't a fluke. They knew it. They had something, and they were just possessed with the moment, like dangling that piece of meat where it's like, hey, win this game, you get to a Super Bowl. Win this game, win the Super Bowl, and now you will be remembered as a champion forever. Super Bowl champ. Love it. There's so many good things coming out, Luke. Dude, I saw the one. Yeah, every day. People are starting to get annoyed. Yeah, people are getting sick.
Keep them coming.
Go ahead.
Man, I cried like 4 times at those speeches the other night.
I hate to say, we're going to be annoying for a long time.
Done.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts started talking. Done. CJ starts crying. I start crying. Dude, every single one. Oh, my God. It was just – it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It's just a I don't want to use the word magical because it wasn't magical. They were just real and they were really good. But, it's sickening. And I said this like an hour before the Super Bowl. I was like, it is disgusting how confident I am in them to win this game. I was the second that I heard Eagles Chiefs when the Chiefs won that game, I was like, I just feel so confident. And all week I was like, am I too confident? Am I too confident? Like, why do I feel this confident against a Chiefs team that's trying to three-peat? And I mean, for 60 minutes, they showed you exactly why, because they were the better football team at every single position. I think it's pretty easy for me to say that Super Bowl, the 53 players on the team, they were better. Every player was better than the opposing player that night. And it's just, you don't ever see that. Like, there was not one matchup on the field that night in that specific game that the Chiefs were better than us in any single way.
Yep. We'll see, and just looking forward to next year and hearing what everybody's got to say at this point in time. And I don't think anything's going to change until, they prove you wrong again. I'm talking about the people that are doubting Jalen Hurts, doubting this team. Like, oh, yeah, and look, there's a lot of just loose lips on the timeline now. So I'm not even going to get carried away and on television as well. But is there anybody on this show right here that would suggest that we will see any other team other than the Eagles and the Chiefs next year? I just think it's going to happen again. I think the trilogy is going to happen again.
I think the harder one is actually for Kansas City now. Their path to it's getting increasingly difficult, and it probably should have ended, last year or this year, but it's going to end very soon. It's going to happen very soon where either the Ravens, the Bills, or some other team out of nowhere ends up beating Kansas City. Kansas City has a lot of problems, and it's not getting any better. In fact, it's getting a lot worse. And the only reason why they're able to get to the spots that they're in is because Patrick Mahomes is just a wizard. He's the greatest quarterback, I think, of all time. But even if you don't want to say that, he's by far the greatest quarterback right now. But there's a limit to that, and I think the Chiefs are starting to hit that limit. It is going to be very difficult. They haven't drafted well. They haven't been able to add to the roster well. I don't think they handle the cap well. They don't do anything all that well. The only thing they did well was draft Patrick Mahomes and have Andy Reid coach him. But other than that, they're having a really tough time. They have missed on way too many skill position guys over the years.
You lose one Super Bowl, now all of a sudden you're the worst team ever.
Not worst team ever, but you start to see the flaws. I mean, it takes a lot to do it again because the Eagles were so overwhelmingly better than them. Because you have Patrick Mahomes, so you're never going to see the flaws. But once finally that opens up, it opens and you start to look inside and go oh wow, this really does stink. Like it does. The Chiefs are not good. It's not that good of an organization to be winning over and over and over again the way that they have. Eventually, it's going to end, and I think it's going to end next year.
DraftKings rolling out the Chiefs plus 350, Bills plus 350, Ravens plus 350, all knotted up at plus 350 at the top to win the AFC.
I get Bengals to liking the Ravens again. How many times can I like the Ravens and it just blows up my face? I can't. I'm going to do it again. I will. I'm going to love the Ravens. They're going to have this great defense. Lamar Jackson's going to play like an MVP. Probably should win the MVP award again. This is one guy I could just hand the MVP award to every year because he's that good. And then for some reason, they're just going to underperform in the playoffs and lose a game that they shouldn't. I don't get it.
I would like to believe that somebody like Joe Burrow is going to get the Cincinnati Bengals to do something different. Maybe spend a couple dollars, go out there and get some defensive players. It was so egregious. We saw what was the difference with that team. You can make the case for the Bills, what's their flaws? It could be on offense, not a lot of big names, whatever. Play calling, defensively, they had to fill in a couple spots. The Ravens did go out there. I think defensively more than anything, you would probably have to start there. And then at the wide receiver position, maybe bringing in somebody else. But for me, and I think we're all in agreement here, if the Cincinnati Bengals had just a half better defense, just a slightly better defense, they're a playoff team. And with Joe Burrow in that offense and slinging the football around, that they can go into any yard and win a football game like they did against Buffalo in Buffalo, like they did in Kansas City going up against Mahomes. So I honestly would be more inclined to take Cincinnati, and plus it's a better number at plus 850 than either the Bills or the Ravens. Anybody disagree with me on that one?
No, I like it. I was just saying I'm going to talk myself into the Bengals, and if they upgrade that defense or not, I feel like it has to get to a point where, and I don't know what goes through the mind of the ownership of the Bengals, but it has to go through their mind eventually that they're just wasting away great years of Joe Burrow. You can't keep sending him out there with no offensive line and no defense. Eventually he's just going to leave. And if you get a quarterback as good as Burrow, who you just don't give him any sort of help and he walks away, that's a fireable offense for everybody in that organization. I will say Bengals Eagles conference winners comes out to plus 3,700 next year. Tell you what, I love the Eagles. I love the Eagles again.
That's easy.
I'm still in the boat, sort of like John said. I feel like the Ravens can get there. It's going to have to take some moves, and they're going to have to get better because I feel like it's just this endless cycle for the Ravens right now. And it's basically the same thing with the Bills, is that they're a really good regular season team, and they have an MVP candidate on their team, and they get to the playoffs, and they all of a sudden they have one bad game as a team. And maybe that's not the quarterback's fault, but them as a team, they have one bad game and then they're out. I mean, it happens every single year, basically. So maybe it's the Bengals. I think the safe bet is still the Chiefs, because even no matter the moves they make, they still just find a way. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I think the AFC is about as open next year as it's been for a lot of years, because multiple years past every season, it's just been Chiefs. But maybe next year's the year where it's not.
Yeah.
Well, the Bengals. The Bengals did make news yesterday, and noise. Franchise tagging Higgins for the second consecutive season. Now they are going to have to do some crafty paperwork as far as getting Jamar Chase signed to a new deal and Hendrickson also signed to a new deal. They're both entering the final year of their deals at this point in time. There's no question you want both of those guys back. Those guys were just awesome across the board on both sides. But we'll see what they're able to do as far as the draft is concerned. And nobody could speak better about that than Philadelphia Eagles fans, man. That could change your season. That could change your franchise direction for seasons to come if you just hit on a few big name draft picks. And it's easier said than done. But, man, take a page out of Howie Roseman's book. Some way, somehow make that happen. And with a quarterback like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and, of course, Hendrickson, it's a pretty damn good roster to work with there.
Yeah, I just don't think Cincinnati's as an organization is built for that. No. I mean, they really aren't.
Correct.
They're top heavy. They have two great wide receivers and a great quarterback, but never have been able to figure out the offensive line. Never really been able to figure out the defense. They got kind of lucky in that Super Bowl run. The defense really figured things out. Remember, it wasn't really the offense that was carrying Cincinnati. Defensively, they were really good. And Joe Burrow was getting sacked a ton, and it was just they were keeping low-scoring games enough for Cincinnati's offense to win them one. If there's a team, I think they're more 2 years away than one. But the Chargers have an identity now. Like Jim Harbaugh's come in. There's like a structure there. There's an identity, and it's going to take Harbaugh maybe an offseason or two to get it to where he needs to be. But that's a team that like improved dramatically in one season. And Jim Harbaugh didn't even have a ton of talent on the offensive side to do it. I don't even think he had a ton of talent on the defensive side to do it. But that's a team that I think is on an upswing. It's just that how quickly is it going to happen? I'm not sure if it can happen in a year, but that's one I'd watch out for in the next year or two.
We do have some breaking news in the world of the NFL. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, he's sticking around Carolina. Another 2-year deal. He's 37 years old. Do you mean to tell me that there's not a better quarterback out there? Like, yeah, I get it. The leadership.
With Andy Dalton.
He's 37 years old. He hasn't won a damn thing.
Why?
Yeah, he's giving you some wins.
I have one question for you. If you're Andy Dalton, why wouldn't you?
Oh, that's
4
easy.
years to stay in Carolinas and hold a clipboard. And if Bryce Young plays like crap, like he does every 4 games, then there he goes, gets a start, comes out, holds his clipboard again, signs his check. It's the best job in all sports is the backup quarterback. Nothing beats
Andy Dalton or Kenny Pickett?
Kenny Pickett?
As an easy one for me. Andy Dalton.
Cam Newton or Andy Dalton? I'll take Cam.
Nah, not Cam
right now. And he can podcast. And he can podcast like Paul George too, as much as he wants.
No, I like Cam a lot. I got Cam wrong in the whole thing. I thought he would never be a good NFL quarterback, and he turned out to be like MVP type player. But not right now.
Well, Andy Dalton MVP more than the Super Bowl. So
Andy Dalton can still run a little bit. He's got a decent arm. He's smart. He's a vet. I thought he played some good games with Carolina, and Carolina's terrible. Yeah, he can play.
All right. Well,
if
again,
Joe Flacco's still around too. I mean, geez, you can keep these guys around. Joe Flacco's what, 40 something? I think.
He's up close.
Yeah, we get into these conversations all the time. Like, would you rather this quarterback or that quarterback? And they're late in their career, and we know why he's there. He's a good vet. He's been there. Good locker room guy. Dude, remember the draft? He was coming out of TCU. I was high on Andy Dalton coming out of TCU. I thought he was going to be a really good pro.
He's on a lot of really good Cincinnati teams. Like, those teams are good. Yeah. They were very good. They won a lot of games.
A lot of games.
Yeah, they didn't perform all that well in the playoffs.
Could not get over the hump in the playoffs. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get on over to Luke's side of things, and let's talk some baseball. What do you say there? I want to go over some win totals, specifically in the NL East. But first and foremost, let's hit some topics that are happening around the baseball community. First and foremost, Mike Trout not officially calling it quits at center field, but it does seem like his days are numbered, extremely limited. Let's put it that way. And he's going to start playing right field. My question to you is, Luke, I don't think there's going to be anyone that disagrees with that. That's great, but why right? Why not put him at first? Why not DH him? What am I missing there? If you are like, we understand, the complex nature of playing center field versus right field. I get it. But if you're really concerned about keeping him healthy, why not bump him to first? There's nobody there. I looked at their depth chart. You don't have anybody worth a damn at first. Mike Trout's a hell of an athlete. Bryce Harper opened my eyes. I'm pretty sure he could pick it up. Or let's take it a step further. If you're really concerned, which you should be, because Mike Trout, healthy last year for 1 month, was a top dog in the MLB. He still has it. Keep him healthy. Put him at DH. What are they doing, Luke? Am I wrong? What's going on there?
So they probably won't roll with the DH because they got Jorge Soler. He's kind of going to be their DH.
That's tough.
Why
not first?
First base, to me, I would say, honestly, I think Trout wants to still try and stay in the outfield. I don't think he wants to commit to this as a full – and I don't think I would see it this way, but I think Trout in the back of his head would be like, if I don't have it anymore, then I'm going to go to first base. There's still juice there. Like, he's still like Trout. And there are some people that continue to doubt Mike Trout, and they like to bring up the playoff performance, whatever. And I get it. But when Mike Trout is on the baseball field and he is healthy, he is a top 5 player in the league still. At his age right now in 2025, he is still a top 5 player in baseball. He's still an unbelievable baseball player. And yes, I completely agree with the move to move him out of center, because I think they want to, obviously, they don't want to lose this career. They want to keep him on this team as long as they can. But I think that's the best scenario for him. I think we all know that it's a little easier to play right than it is center. Any sort of bit off of the legs for Trout, I think, is the best move for them.
I've watched full time Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber play corner outfield. I think Mike Trout can do it. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Whoa. Who's saying he can't?
Yeah.
The
No, he
issue
will.
is
It's just like
his
it's not.
legs, his body. That's the issue.
I've seen Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos play corner outfield. Those aren't.
I've seen Nick Castellanos do it for 162 games straight.
Nimble of bodies. Like, I
but
think
neither of them have
that's
injury
demanding.
concerns. No, neither of them have injury. That's apples and oranges.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that demanding. I don't think corner outfield's a very demanding position. Center field's demanding. Center field's a lot, but corner outfield is very, very less, I think, demanding than center field.
Yeah, well, I think partially they want to open it up for Joe Adell as well. I think they want to move him to center. So
Joe Adell's still a thing. I know, like, they keep bringing him up, and like he has power numbers, and like Joe Adell, this guy is a prospect, amazing.
If he gets a hold of a baseball, it goes about 500 feet every single time.
It's incredible. It's one of the greatest thing in sports, yet we only get to see it like once in a blue moon because this guy can never just put it together.
Nothing hits better than when I get the home run notification from MLB Home Runs, and it says Joe Adell 470 feet.
Joe Adell,
I only see it every 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's amazing. Wow. It's one of the most majestic home runs in all of baseball, and you never get to see it. And every time, too, he goes to AAA and like dominates, and then he gets to Major League Baseball and forgets how to hit a baseball. It's wild. Absolutely wild.
I know what I would be saying if I was a general manager, and the Angels haven't gotten much right when it comes to making these type of decisions. I am with you, Luke. Easier said than done. I think you're probably spot on with your assessment as far as Mike Trout and the way he's looking at it. Like, hold up, I'm not ready to go to first just yet. I still could play outfield and hold it down. But I think you got to take
treating first base like a retirement home.
I think you got to take that decision out of his hands just because of how what he is when he's healthy and what he's been dealing with. And it just you are now allowing the inmates to run the asylum, and I mean that with all love and respect. I don't think that's the right move, but we'll see. It is depressing because we're talking about Mike Trout coming to an end as far as his career is concerned. And he's only 33 years old, man. One of the greatest players to ever suit up. And we want to see him continue to play more and more. So hopefully we can extend that career Just get him to first base. Harper opened my eyes, man.
I was about to say Phillies did that with Harper, so I was like, oh yeah, you could just put the older guy on there at first base.
Hang on, you're talking about two unbelievable stud athletes.
Yeah, the great athletes.
Bryce Harper came up as a catcher. He's got an unbelievable glove. Mike Trout is Mike Trout. Like, I'm not throwing anybody out there.
No. It's just, I don't know. We are talking about first base. Like, sit there and do nothing, please. Catch a baseball.
Like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper could play shortstop if we needed them tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't believe Mookie Betts did that. Like, did it almost flawlessly.
Mookie's still somehow one of the most underrated athletes in baseball. They move that dude around every 2 weeks, and he looks like a Gold Glove everywhere he plays. Dude, you want to go play left field for the day? There you go. Oh, sorry, we need a shortstop today. Go play short for the next 2 weeks.
I think Mookie Betts could definitely catch. He could be.
He probably could.
Wasn't he in right field in the World Series when he almost fought those Yankees?
That's where his career started. Yeah. He started off as a right fielder for the Boston Red Sox. He went to the Dodgers. He was playing some outfield, I believe. Oh, who got hurt? Their old second baseman got hurt. He moved to second. Then their shortstop got hurt, and their second baseman came back. He moved to short. That dude is a freak
stud,
athlete.
Absolute stud.
Hey, well, that's what we call a perfect segue from Mookie Betts, the ultimate team player, saying wherever you need me, to Rafael Devers for the Boston Red Sox saying, no, I am third base and third base only. Luke, let's go ahead and dive into this one. Alex Bregman signs with the Boston Red Sox, big time deal for them. Getting him, of course, I think it's an even bigger deal breaking up the Astros finally, but we'll leave that conversation for another day. Let's focus on Boston with Devers at third. Pretty good glove, good stick. Obviously, look at the numbers. He's young too. I didn't realize how young he was. It feels like he's been in Major League Baseball forever. Probably has, but still pretty good as far as an age is concerned. I think 28, 27 years old, if I'm not mistaken. But we know Bregman, he's a third baseman. Alex Cora said that he's going to put him around the infield, and it's February 18th. We got some time, but I just don't think it's a good thing when you have the current third baseman digging his feet in to the ground saying, no, this is my position, addressing the media as such, saying that we've already had these discussions and I'm not moving. And, oh, by the way, now a teammate checked in today saying, I don't think Devers should move if he doesn't want to move. Doesn't seem like this is all peaches and cream up there in Boston when they should be excited about a huge name coming to suit up for them, and they know how good he is because they've been competing with the Astros all these years. So let's just take it this way. Where do you think this goes? Do you think cooler heads will prevail and they'll figure this out, or do you think teams should start calling about Rafael Devers?
Yeah, so me holding a Red Sox plus 400 the AL East ticket is I was not happy to see a lot of this because, one, I think the Red Sox having a really, really good roster heading into this year. But the matter of the fact is that since Devers entered the league in 2017, he's the worst defensive third baseman in all of baseball. Actually, as far as defensive runs saved, if you moved this metric back 10 years before he made his debut, he's still the worst defensive third baseman in all of baseball. So, I mean, realistically, the Red Sox are seeing this as we need better defense over there. I think it's that simple. I don't think they want to lose Devers. He's the best player on their team. But if they have an option to put Alex Bregman, who is a very good defender, at third, and if they want to move him to maybe the DH spot, Devers, or sort of find a new position, I mean, if you're the Red Sox, moving Devers out of third base but keeping him on your roster is the best possible option. It's the matter of Devers not wanting to do it. These last 48 hours have been a PR nightmare from the Red Sox. They have that. Obviously, they have their coach saying, he basically said, our old GM isn't here anymore. This is the new Red Sox. That's basically what he said. And then you have their first baseman basically saying what he thinks should happen. It's been a nightmare. And then one of the guys said they don't think some of the younger guys should come up yet. It's been a nightmare 48 hours for the Red Sox. And it's a shame because right now they might have the best projected roster in the AL East. I am still in the boat that I think the Yankees are basically a retirement home right now. and it's pretty easy to say this for a lot of teams. The Yankees are one Aaron Judge injury away from having a horrible lineup. Like, not even an average lineup, a horrible lineup. Right now, if you took Aaron Judge out of their lineup, you would have Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, an aging Paul Goldschmidt, an aging Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton, who either hits a home run or pops out, Austin Wells, Jason Dominguez, Oswaldo Cabrera. That's not a good lineup at all. Like, that is nowhere close to competing. Yeah, they have a good rotation and they're building a good bullpen, but they're one injury away. And this is where the Red Sox need to capitalize. This is the year for me that I think the Red Sox can win the AL East. This Orioles team is proving that they're not willing to spend money. The Rays, you don't even know what's going on down there. The Blue Jays, they're adding pieces, but there's issues with Vladdy, and I just still don't think the Blue Jays roster is all that great. This is the ideal year for the Red Sox. And I mean, as from a PR standpoint right now, they're throwing everything out of the gates right now.
Yeah, Devers, maybe I misspoke a little bit by saying decent glove. He has led the league in errors at third base every year since 2018. So bad job by me on that one. But a really good talent, obviously, as we pointed out.
He's an unbelievable hitter. He's probably a top 5 hitter in baseball. He's just bad defender, and obviously maybe not a cheap guy.
It changes everything, right?
Yeah.
It changes everything with the fact of how bad he really is at third base, John. And I don't think he has a leg to stand on with.
That's the thing. He does.
You know, it's like, hey, man, hold up. Like, we're here to try and compete. Things have been bad with the Sox and trying to make the playoffs. And maybe he needs to look himself in the mirror with all those errors year after year after year.
Yeah, I think eventually he will concede to it. And once you get in the spring training, and once you kind of see the lineup, I think Luke's right. Like, this Red Sox team is ready to compete for an AL East crown, and I think Devers is going to realize that, and going to realize that Bregman being at third base is probably a good thing. Like, Bregman's a very good player, and that they probably need him there, while Devers needs to probably DH something, move around. But there is an opportunity here, and I think Devers is going to see that. It's just, you don't want to give up a position you've been at. I think A-Rod had a tough time letting up his position. Yeah. He really had a tough time. So, these guys are star players. They don't want to move around. But once you realize that there is something greater on the other end of that, I think Devers, once he gets in the spring training, is going to concede that that's probably the right thing to do.
All right. Let's go ahead and hit on this. We're coming down the home stretch here. We got you till 5 o'clock. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, all things college hoops. Myself and Ryan Beef Coyle, the college basketball catch-up show, sponsored by Heinz 57. No,
what kind of ketchup?
We need that. Well, there's only one ketchup that you can use.
There's only one ketchup.
False.
There's only one ketchup. What?
I miss like the green and purple ketchup.
You can't use
I thought you were talking about
ketchup.
I thought you were talking about different flavors of ketchup.
Oh, no. Well, what type of flavor? You got spicy ketchup?
Well,
spicy ketchup thing is spicy ketchup with a cheesesteak egg roll is so good. Oh,
that's good.
You know where we had spicy ketchup? Yards Brewing. That's where we had it.
Yes.
They had spicy ketchup there.
Spicy ketchup is great. Cheesesteak egg rolls. Oh, smooth. So good. But wait a minute. That you can't use Bobo ketchup. There's
no. Heinz. Yeah, no. Heinz ketchup.
Heinz or bust. It's a lot like a Bobo toilet paper. You just don't want to go down that path.
No.
If you know what I mean.
I'm good with store brand ketchup. What do you mean? I'm fine with that.
No,
I don't.
I'm really not that like Hunt's ketchup. Go ahead.
Hunt's.
I'm fine.
Listen to this guy, Hunt's. Come on, man.
Fine. What's like? I didn't know you guys were like ketchup freaks here. We were strict on the
Rite Aid ketchup. Jansen, that's my favorite bar food.
It's honestly it's getting up there as one of my favorite bar food things to get. It's so great.
Egg roll it's money.
I don't know how you could put anything ahead of wings as far as a bar food is concerned. Bar food standard, number one. Rank them.
I count that as like a gourmet meal.
I gotta be in the seat. I gotta be in the mood. I gotta be in the mood to eat wings.
Oh, dude, I'm in the mood right now.
No, here's my thing.
I ate wings yesterday. Chicken a pizza. I could eat it right now.
I almost need to plan when I'm eating wings. Like that. That's kind of my thing. I need to be in the mood and ready to eat wings. Once I am, one of the
No.
best foods on the planet.
I have to hold myself back from eating wings every day. Like I have to contain myself, be like, look, can't do that today. And all I do is just look forward to the one time this week where I know I'm definitely going to get wings. Wings are the greatest thing of all. Wings are the greatest food ever. There's nothing better than sitting down with a plate of wings and a beer. It's the greatest thing of all time.
All right. We do have some other quick topics that I want to hit, but just real fast as far as
That was such a serious switch from that conversation.
oh yeah, well, yeah.
There's some other hard-hitting news items we have to hit.
It's not really hard hitting.
It's ketchup out of business.
It's LeBron James taking a shot at Doug Gottlieb, which I just thought was hysterical. Win totals. Let's go. Win totals. Luke, NL East only. As far as wins over under, the Braves 93.5 at -120. Over under.
Over. I like the Braves at 100 plus. Like they're getting Strider back, they're getting Acuna back, and they have so many candidates for a bounce back year. They got better this offseason. Last year was a fluke season for the Braves.
And it still wasn't that bad, by the way.
No, and I if it's not the Dodgers, if there was somehow a collapse for the Dodgers and it was somehow this dream team that just collapses, I wouldn't be surprised if we found ourselves in like a Phillies Braves NLCS. I think the Braves have a chance to win the World Series. I think the Braves are going to be nasty again this year.
Jansen, you agree over?
Oh, 100%. I think Luke's right. They're close to a 100-win team. They're going to be my pick to win the National League. They might be my pick to win the World Series when it's all said and done. But that team has so many bounce back spots, so many players that are still like the best years of their career are still ahead of them. They're going to get a healthy Ronald Acuna Jr. back at some point. That team is just built and loaded, and every year they even get better. There's probably a player we don't know yet that's going to come up to play that's going to be very good. The Braves are just it. They're that team, and last year it completely fell apart. Like everything that could go wrong for the Braves went wrong, and they still were actually pretty darn good. So I think they're a great team. They probably get to 100 wins, or at least very close.
New York Mets 90.5. Back to you, Jansen. Over under.
I'm going to say under for now. Yeah, I'm going to say under for now. I mean, obviously the Soto thing's huge, and I do think they're on a bit of an upward trajectory, which I didn't think was the case with Cone before because they just seemed like they missed on every single signing. But it's all starting to come together a little bit, and I think their pitching's going to be okay. They got a decent enough lineup. I just don't know if it's that good that they can repeat some of the things they did last year, especially being how good they were down the stretch and getting to a World Series and all. I know, yeah. Where did they get an NLCS World Series? They made it to a bunch of places that I didn't expect. I just don't know if that's repeatable for them, even with the offseason that they had.
I'm all over the Mets under. Big time all over the under. I think the front half of their lineup's good. I think the back half isn't. I think their rotation got worse. I think they're trying out as their fourth starter, a guy who hasn't started in 5 or 6 years in Clay Holmes. I don't think the bullpen's amazing. I also think they're going to get caught into this cycle where I think they're going to go into next season and they think it's all going to be roses and OMG signs. And I think they're going to be in for a bit of an awakening. Because I think they're the third best in the National League. I think the Phillies are better than them. I think the Braves are better than them.
Phillies 91.5 a DraftKings Sportsbook. Just to let everybody know, last year Phillies won 95 games. Of course, Mets fell just under the 90 total at 89, and Braves as well. Will the Phillies go over 91.5, Luke?
Yes, by a half of a game.
Ooh,
I
92.
I made my prediction the other day at 92 wins. I think the Phillies rotation got way better. I think their bullpen got a little worse. I think it's going to be a year that they're going to go in and I genuinely think they're just going to be really pissed off. I think they're going to be really angry about how last year ended. I still think they're a very good baseball team. Please don't let Phillies Twitter warriors tell you they're not. They're still a very good baseball team, and I think they're going to show that this year.
Jansen?
Yeah, the rotation is what I would like long term, and I think that's one thing that's going to carry them. I see way too many guys in this lineup that like their best years are way behind them or starting to become behind them. I don't like that. I think this lineup kind of needed something else. It needed a little bit different, like interject something into it. And all they did was get like Max Kepler, which isn't good enough. I think to me at best, they're like an 88 win team, like wild card team. They get into the postseason. That starting rotation can maybe bring them places. And the fact that they do have some really great hitters like Bryce Harper still that can take them places. But a little bit of a downgrade in bullpen, which I'm afraid bullpen might regress even more than I'm thinking right now. And then the lineup, I just don't see many guys having like career years or great years. I just think this team's good, but I think the cap on it to me is like an 88 win team.
All right, and then let's talk about the basement. Let's go with the Miami Marlins, who last year ended up winning 62 games. I think they're at 63 this year. Will they improve? Will they improve this year, Luke?
They have a chance to be one of the worst teams of all time. They traded just about everybody they possibly could. I will say this, and I will go on the record right now. The 2028 Marlins might be really good. They have so many good prospects now. Just they're under everything. Right. I don't even know if they break 60.
Jansen 72.5 for the Washington Nationals. Last year, the Nats won 71 games. Will they improve this year?
Is the Marlins hitter, by the way, Luke, like best one, maybe Connor Norby? Are we really talking like that?
Yeah.
Are they that bad of a line? Not to say Norby's bad. Norby's like played great in Baltimore, but that's what we're talking about?
It's like, bad. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, no.
And there's going to be multiple occasions where we go to Miami, we lose 2 or 3. But if you go down and look at this projected lineup.
I'm just sorry. I had to go back to that because it is striking how bad that lineup is.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Nationals for me are over.
You going over, though?
I'm going over. I think the Nationals, I don't think they're going to be close to a playoff team, but I think the Nationals have a chance to be that young, fun team this year that we say, hey, maybe next year, maybe they have a chance to sneak their way into a wild card round.
All right,
for 2026. I think we're talking about a 74 to 77 win Nationals team. I think they have a chance to be fun. They have really awesome young prospects in their lineup. CJ Abrams, who isn't really necessarily young anymore, but he's still a young talent. CJ Abrams, I'm really excited to watch Dylan Cruz. He's going to be awesome. I think they have a fun lineup. They obviously have the biggest Phillies killer maybe of all time now, and Josh Bell. He can just never escape seeing the Phillies 20 times a year. And I think Mackenzie Gore, I think, is going to have a really awesome year. He's a sick arm, and I only think he's going to get better. We will see him opening day. We will see this whole Nationals team on opening day. 37 days, March 27th at Nationals Park.
Right around the corner.
So close.
Right around the corner. Yep. All right, Luke, fantastic job. He's got a write-up over at crossingbroad.com. Make sure you follow him at Arcaini Luke. Really easy to find there. John Jansen, J Jansen 34 on socials. Just don't text him. He won't reply back to you, but that's all right.
I give the emojis now.
That's right.
That.
Emojis are good. Yeah. Emojis are welcome.
I'm paying attention.
Coming up,
like a 45-year-old dad. Yeah. Thumbs up. My dad sends me two things that he texts me. Okay, period, and a thumbs up emoji. That's all he sends me.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Wait.
Like this.
Yep. All right, coming up next, 5 o'clock hour, college hoops conversation rolls on. Ryan Beef Coyle, myself. It's the college basketball catch-up show. This was the Power Hour. Also, 6 o'clock, keep it locked right here for UConn and Villanova. Villanova needs to find another win. Can they do so tonight on the road? Find out coming up, 6 p.m. pregame coverage tipping off. Ryan Fannin, Whitey Rigsby, and John Jansen back at the studio. I'll be back in studio myself tomorrow. Brand new daily ticket. Had to hold out. Had some babysitter issues today. So looking forward to getting back over there. We got a lot to discuss. Continue the conversation as far as Major League Baseball is concerned. But, man, right here, right now, all things hoops. NBA back tomorrow and college hoops, big card this evening. So don't touch that dial. The college basketball catch-up show is next. We'll talk to you. Peace.